Hi. Metal Adventures bronze clay. Aussie Metal clay, bronze clay. What are the differences? Basically everything is different between the two. For context, I spent my first year using the Metal Adventures. So this is what feels normal to me. So everything else about Aussie Metal clay feels different and foreign, and I'm finding my way. With the Metal Adventures, there aren't a lot of additives. There's the metal and there's the organic binder, and it's up to you to use a little water spritzer or whatever to keep it hydrated as you're working with it. And you have to do that fairly frequently if you're working on sculpting a piece. Aussie Metal clay has the additives, so that experience is completely different. You don't have to spritz it. You don't have to worry about it. It stays hydrated for a long time. Kind of like the PMC Flex metal clay. It feels silky to work with. It doesn't shed a lot of mud as if you're working it with your hands. That experience was great. I loved that part of it. No notes. It was really good. The second stage, of course, is drying, and a lot of my pieces I just dry naturally. I don't necessarily throw them on the hot plate unless I'm in a hurry. In the drying stage, Metal Adventures excels. It just dries, and it doesn't fuss a lot about it. It doesn't have the things designed to keep it wet, so it dries like you do. The Aussie Metal clay, I had some trouble because I tend to make chunkier pieces, pieces that are at least 4, sometimes 6 cards thick, sometimes thicker. The additives it enabled the edges to dry faster, and the interior portions that were remaining moist longer would cleave apart a little bit. So I fixed them while they were still in that semi-damp stage, but it led to trouble later. So at this point, with my level of experience with it, I would definitely be using this for the thinner, flatter pieces, and not the more sculptural. But again, this is my first run around with this. Let me think. Next stage is trimming. Trimming the Metal Adventures is pretty normal. It's fragile in the greenware state, so you have to be careful, and you just get it done. This is what feels normal to me. The additives and the Aussie Metal clay make it hard as a frickin' rock when it dries before it's fired. So where I would normally hand drill holes in the pieces to act as bales, just using my little Dremel drill bits, for the Aussie Metal clay, I got to bust out the machinery. You can't hand drill through it. It is hard as a rock, which has its advantages. When you're filing and you're trimming and you don't want it to break, that's great. But that is a fundamental difference between the two. If you can get it to dry correctly, once it's dry, you can trim the heck out of the Aussie Metal clay without a care in the world, because those binders are going to hold it together. The next stage, of course, is firing. So Metal Adventures, in my kiln, I do a slow ramp to 1550, hold it there for 2.5, 3 hours, depending on the thickness of the piece, and you're done. That's it. That's a very reliable formula for the Metal Adventures for me. Everybody's kiln is a little bit different, but that's my jam. This one is a 2-stage firing. You fire first to burn off the organic matter, and then you cool it and do a second firing to center the metal. I find that less convenient, but probably just because it isn't what I'm used to. I will say, do not mess with your pieces in between the two firings, because the binder has burned off, but the metal is not centered. In other words, if you mess with it, it'll break right then and there. This is where the problem came in with the cleaving from the drying stage earlier. It burns off all the binder, and if that space wasn't fully healed inside the piece, it just breaks in half. Like so. There was a, oops, that's the wrong end. There was a cleave in the back of this cross. You can see it's pretty chunky. I do thick pieces. And it broke. There was nothing, there was no binder there to hold it together. It was not together. And so that's scrap. But so yeah, that's the difference. I did my first complete successful firing of the Aussie Metal clay last night. These are fresh out of the kiln and they have no polish on them. So use your imagination, but these are going to be the silver bronze. As I said, I disintegrated the cross that I had in there. So I'll be trying again. And we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping to fire every single day this week while the weather will allow my kiln to understand what's going on. So this is a comparison of Metal Adventures bronze and Aussie Metal clay bronze. And if you're seeing this on the tube of you, there are affiliate links down below. You're welcome to go crazy on Amazon and get yourself some metal clay and see if everything I've said is true. And if you're seeing this on TikTok, I don't have a link yet. So go find me on the tube of you, and there are links there where you can get all your gear. All right? I'll talk to you soon. If you enjoyed this content, like and subscribe, and the gods of YouTube will show you more of it. I'm Allison White from WhyteWing.com, and thanks for playing.